What's up, everyone? And today I'm bringing a deck profile on my Fluffals. Now, Fluffals is an interesting deck. It's a fusion-based deck I'd say it's a pretty popular one, and it's definitely been used as an engine in multiple decks. I remember it being used as an engine for Orcus, although as its own deck, it definitely has some problems. One of those is that it's a little bit dependent on luck, which you say the whole game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Is kind of dependent on luck, but we'll get to that when we get more into the deck profile. So without further ado, let's get right into it. First, we run 3, Fluffal Penguin. Fluffal Penguin, when it is a normal special summon, you can, or actually during the main phase, you can special summon one Fluffal monster from your hand, except Penguin Fluffal, and once per turn. When it is used as the fusion material for a Fright for a Fusion, you can draw 2 and discard 1. Now, the first effect is not a hard once per turn. So, let's say you summon one Fluffal, then you can summon one from hand. Let's say you summon another Fluffal, then you can summon another Fluffal Penguin, then you can summon another Fluffal from hand. So this one is definitely one of the best cards, if not the best. So ideally you have this, or even 2 of them is pretty good. Like let's say you have this, a dog, and I don't know, a dolphin. You can roll this, roll the dog. Then if your toy vendor resolves, then you can also summon another one to summon the dolphin, for example. Speaking of, I run 3 Fluffal Dog. When a Fluffal Dog is normal special summoned, you can add one Edge-imp Sabers or one Fluffal monster from your deck to your hand. So it's your searcher. Also run 3 copies of the Fluffal Bear. Now a bear you can discard it to the graveyard to set Toy Vendor directly from your deck, which is definitely good because Toy Vendor is your key card. Not only is it good on the field or Toy Vendor is like good on both on the field and the grave, and if you don't have access to Toy Vendor, then your plays aren't really going to go very far. So Fluffal Bear can essentially get you to your Toy Vendor. Also running one Dolphin. Dolphin is one I considered bumping up to 2. It's really good. You can target one Toy Vendor in your graveyard. If you do, send one Fluffal monster or one Edge-imp Sabers from your deck to the graveyard. And if this card is sent to the graveyard as a fusion material for a fusion summon, you can shuffle into the deck one of your fusion spells or polymerization spells that is banished or in your graveyard. So it allows you to reuse the fusion and polymerizations. I run one Sheep. Sheep is very important. If you control a Fluffal monster except Sheep, you can special summon this card from your hand. You return one other Fluffal monster you control to the hand. You can return one other Fluffal monster you control to the hand, special summon one Edge-imp monster from your hand or graveyard. So that's definitely really good because let's say you discard the Edge-imp chain off of the Toy Vendor, because Toy Vendor does discard for cost. Then you can essentially special summon the Edge-imp chain from back, then you can send it to the graveyard to trigger the Edge-imp chain effect. Also run the one Fluffal Octopus. With its normal special summon, you can target one Fluffal monster or Edge-imp monster in your graveyard, add it to your hand. And you can also use this for Sheep because the first effect of Sheep to summon itself from hand is not once per turn, which is definitely really cool. Also run one Fluffal Wings. Fluffal Wings is really good. It's usually what you send off of Dolphin. So if this card is in your graveyard and you control Toy Vendor, you can banish this card from your graveyard, then target one Fluffal monster in your graveyard, banish it. If you do, draw one card. Then, you can send one Toy Vendor you control to the graveyard. If you do, draw one card. So basically, use this effect, banish itself and another Fluffal, send a Toy Vendor to the grave to draw 2. And Toy Vendor does have an effect when it is sent to the graveyard. So, Fluffal Wings is just really good. You'll always want to have in your graveyard. Also run the one copy of Fluffal Owl. Some builds don't run Fluffal Owl, which I don't really think is correct. I think you gotta run at least one because Fluffal Owl is pretty good. One, when it's normal special summon, you can add a polymerization from your deck to your hand, which is definitely very crucial in this deck. And additionally, it can become a polymerization itself. So essentially with Fluffal Owl, you get 2 polymerizations, which is really, really good. Moving on to the Edge-imps, we have the 3 Edge-imp chain. When Edge-imp chain is sent to the graveyard, you can add one Fright for a card from your deck to your hand, which is definitely really good because that's basically what you're going to add is the Fright for a Patchwork, which is like searches out both an Edge-imp and a poly. Also run 2 Edge-imp Scythe, which is like a polymerization on your opponent's turn, like a hand trap poly in a way. And I run the 1 Sabers. Of course, you got to go for the Lost Art. Edge-imp Sabers is definitely very crucial for this deck. It's a mandatory. Because if you want to go, for example, into the Fright for Tiger, Edge-imp Sabers is one of the mandatory cards. Now, Sabers, if it's in the graveyard, you place one card from your hand on top of your deck to special summon this card in defense position. So if it's in the graveyard, it can revive itself, which is pretty good. Also run one Eldritch the Golden Lord. You mainly run this because of the Toy Vendor, because if it's sent to the graveyard, it can search. Also run 2 Cashier Fenrir. It's another really solid card. Sometimes, just need an extra monster on field. Sometimes I use its actual effect. Sometimes I use it just as a body for Cross Sheep. Moving on to the spells. I run 3 copies of Toy Vendor. Now, the one unfortunate thing with Toy Vendor is that its highest rarity is a super rare. That's really disappointing. I feel like this card would look nice as like a secret. Anyways, as for the effect, once per turn you can discard 1 card, draw 1 card, and show it to your opponent. Then if it is a Fluffal monster, you can special summon 1 monster from your hand. Now the one thing with the Toy Vendor, it says special summon 1 monster from your hand. Doesn't necessarily have to be a Fluffal monster. That's where the splashability of this engine kind of comes in. And if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can add 1 Edge-imp Sabers or 1 Fluffal monster from your deck to your hand. So if it's sent from deck to the graveyard, it's a search, and on field it can be potential draw and summon. Next, I run 3/5 for Patchwork. Patchwork allows you to add 1 Edge-imp monster and 1 Polymerization from your deck to your hand. So Toy Vendor and 5 for Patchwork are essentially like the key cards that you want to have in this deck because they really allow this deck to pop off. Also run 1 5 for Repair. This one you more or less want in the graveyard because when it's in the graveyard, you can banish this card to special summon 1 Fluffal or Edge-imp monster from your hand, which is definitely pretty good. I run 1 5 for Fusion. Basically, fusion summon a 5 from Fusion monster by banishing materials from your field or graveyard. I run 2 copies of the Royal Penguin's Guard because this searches out the Fluffal Penguin because when this card is activated, you can add 1 Penguin card from your deck to your hand. It's mostly meant for the Penguin archetype, if you can call it that. I feel like it's good enough. Not really good enough, but it's kind of an archetype that, just works with anything with the name Penguin in it, which, happens to include Fluffal Penguin. Next, I run 3 copies of Foolish Barrel of Goods. Definitely want this because, by sending the Toy Vendor to the graveyard, it's triggering its search effect, so that's really good. Also run the 1 Foolish Burial. Usually you'll send the Fluffal wings off of it. Also run 2 Pot of Desires and 2 Polymerization, and the 1 Call by the Grave. Moving on to the extra deck. I think the one weakness of this deck is the extra deck more so because as far as main deck, there's a lot of good cards like Toy Vendor, Fluffal Penguin, Dolphin. Like there's just a lot of good cards. But as far as the threat for fusion monsters, most of them just really aren't that great. Like, I like them design wise, but in the end they're just not really all that helpful. In fact, you only play 4. I played 2 copies of Cruel Whale. This is definitely the best of the 5 for fusions. If this card is fusion summoned, you can destroy 1 card on both players' fields. 1 card your opponent controls, and most likely your Toy Vendor. And additionally, you can send 1, you target 1 fusion monster you control, send a 5 for card from your deck or extra deck to the graveyard, and then the target monster gains attack equal to half its original attack until the end of the turn. Now, you can use this to send the 5 for Repair. But there's another kind of application that I like using with this as well. They are level 9s, and there is a play with that I do like to use. Also run the 1 Tiger, and they run Daredevil. These don't come up too much. Most Frightful builds play the Cruel Whale and the Tiger, but not so much the Daredevil. I like it more so because this can be very good going into time. Because when it destroys a monster by battle, you can do burn damage, and if it's destroyed, it can also do burn damage. So it can be quite useful in scenarios. As for the XYZ monsters, I run 1 Tornado Dragon. Tornado Dragon is pretty cool because most of the Fluffals are level 4, a couple level 3, and level 2. Like Dolphin, Dog, and Fluffal Penguin, they're level 4, so you can go into Tornado Dragon with it. Then you can use it to pop your own Toy Vendor, which will get a search effect, which does come up. Also run 1 Baguska. Now, if your plays just aren't really developing, Baguska is always a nice card to fall back on. Of course, I also run Bahamut Shark and Totally Awesome. Since Fluffal Dolphin and Penguin are both water, it makes going into Bahamut Shark possible. And now the next card, which is a bit of a surprise card, I play 1 Leviathan and 1 Generator, Boss of Eternity. Now you're probably like, wait, why are you running generators in Frightfurs or Fluffals? Like I said before, Cruel Whale is level 9, and if it's summoned on your turn, there's not really a whole lot of use for it. If you don't have the Edge-imp Scythe, then you're not going to be doing it on your opponent's turn. But you can summon both of them, go into the Leviathan, and then into Eternity. Because when playing with generators, I know a lot of people really forget that Leviathan has a window to respond to, and most people tend to miss that. So this is definitely going to catch you some wins. And Boss of Eternity has the ability to suck up cards, which you can then use it to get your toy vendor, then, you know, just detach it to trigger the toy vendor effect. Also the one Zeus. Now, as far as the Link monsters, I run the one Cross Sheep, which is a fusion-based deck, so of course you want to run Cross Sheep. The one Nightmare Unicorn, Apollosa, and Access Code to round out the extra deck. What do you think of Fluffals? Do you think it's a pretty fun deck? Do you think it is a deck that definitely needs some more support? I think it does. I feel like this deck has potential. But let me know in the comments and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.